I'm a faith defender, God vindicator. Hey again, folks. Is he a God of slavery or a God of freedom? Well, here are a couple of my favourite atheists, Alex J. O'Connor and Matt Dillahunty, using slavery in the Bible to justify their rejection of God. Here you go.
I don't know the answer to that question, but I think it's one of the more difficult.
I'm glad,
because
because I've seen so many people try to defend it. I really like that answer. But what I would say is that what we're discussing here is why I'm not a Christian and why you are a Christian. The reason I'm not is because, like you, I look at texts like this, I'm confused by them at the very least, and I turn to people for answers. They can't be found. What we are left with is having to throw our hands up in the sky and saying, maybe the author of morality can permit sexual slavery, and that's just not good enough for me.
So you already acknowledged that it was immoral to own another person's property, and I just read you the verses that show you how you can buy the heathen from their lands that surround you and make them your property to pass on to your children, and how you can also trick Jews doing into it. I'm not interested in your, let me find a way to twist this and see if it makes it work, because I'm more moral than that, and I think you are too, and I find it repulsive that your religion is poisoning you so much that you could start off by saying it's immoral to own people as property. And when I read you the verse in your book that explicitly says, in no doubt about it, no specific interpretation, that you can own people as property, and then I ask you if it's immoral, your answer is no. You are done here. And you need to take a personal inventory of both your morality and your religion, because it is inhuman and embarrassing.
Inhuman and embarrassing. Strong words there, Matt. But wait a minute. Isn't this the God who said, let my people go, when they were slaves to Pharaoh? Didn't he visit plagues upon the Egyptians and even part the mighty Red Sea so they could escape? So is God somehow schizophrenic when he seems to permit slavery in some instances? I wonder. Let's have a look. We read in Matthew 19 from verse 3, some Pharisees came to Jesus to test him. They asked, is it lawful for a man to divorce his wife for any and every reason? Haven't you read, he replied, that at the beginning the Creator made them male and female, and said, for this reason a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and the two will become one flesh. So they are no longer two but one. Therefore, what God has joined together, let man not separate. Why then, they asked, did Moses command that a man give his wife a certificate of divorce and send her away? Jesus replied, Moses permitted you to divorce your wives because your hearts were hard, but it was not this way from the beginning. I tell you that anyone who divorces his wife except for marital unfaithfulness and marries another woman commits adultery. So we see that Moses only permitted certain things because the people's hearts were hard. They weren't ready to receive God's ideal at that time. Now Moses himself only had one wife for life, so he led by example. As a ruler of the people, he could have had many wives after all. But he had to pick his battles in this instance because he was already introducing this radical new foundation for society called the Ten Commandments, where people would have to respect one another's boundaries so the society wouldn't break down. So he couldn't do it all at once. And you think about it, they wanted to kill Moses and Aaron at times. The people were so rebellious. So we have to see this in the context of introducing the law as a whole. Because if you think of Moses as being a sort of religious equivalent of Newton, Newton brought in the laws of motion, and they were functional. They worked for engineering purposes. And the same way, Moses introduced the law, but it needed an Einstein to take us to the next level in respect of Newton's science. And now it needed Christ to take us to the next level in terms of revealing God's will. We have to remember there was a civil war in America thousands of years after Moses, because people were unwilling to stop slavery. So it wasn't just a simple case of Moses in those days saying, well, God says no slaves, and all the people go along with it. Remember, he was asking them to fight wars against the surrounding nations, peoples who would definitely have enslaved them if they'd have lost. And it was seen as a sort of spoil of war in those days. You know, we can stand here with our civilized, enlightened, Western outlook. We can moralize all we want to. But even today in the third world, life is cheap. We could stand before a Colombian drug lord and moralize with him, reason with him, and then be shot in the head, and he would go about his daily business as if nothing had happened. And so, Matt Dillahunty and all you atheists out there, perhaps you need a Bruce Almighty experience like Jim Carrey had in the film to be forced to understand some of the problems that God has in running in this world with humanity in the state that we're in. You know, Jesus said that we're in a much worse form of slavery than physical. It's a slavery to sin, it's a slavery to guilt and oppression of all kinds. And this song I wrote about the way that Jesus rescued me from that slavery. I'm only a man, forced to admit there's weakness about me, and I bruise and I bleed and feel the pain when life is cruel, trying to free myself from all the fierce guilt inside. I feel so empty. Help me, someone help me. You knew the pain and you cried. You suffered there with me, and blood from your wounds flowed out to me and brought me healing. Jesus, you came to me when I was down, wanted to die. Well, you gave me hope again, my friend. You know that I'm only a man, Lord. I need your love to make it through. Only you, Jesus, giving me life as I run to you. Only a man, Lord. Trusting in you, find release. I rest in your presence, and deep is your touch, strengthening me. I rise above the tears and the tragedy. Nothing could conquer this love you showed, my Lord. Even death could not prevail. You know that I'm only a man, Lord. I need your love to make it through. Only you, Jesus, giving me life as I run to you. Only a man, Lord, I need your love to make it through.